Okay, so welcome everybody. We're class number 18. Hi.
Hi.
We made it to life. And where are we? Okay, so last week, the last few weeks we've been talking about Yun, which is the process that we're actually going through, where we're looking at a text, we're trying to understand the concepts, we're engaging in this process of inquiry and analysis and just engaging our minds in, and that's really the beginning of the process. So we learned that Iyun is basically the lowest aspect, the most external aspect of Bina, the Bina of Bina, or the Orech of Bina. That's where the student begins to engage with the mind of the teacher. The teacher has brought the concept all the way down to the most external part of Bina with explanations and with mashalim, and then we begin to engage with these mashalim and these explanations in order to kind of, to begin to access what it is that the teacher is really trying to tell us. And so last week, we learned a surprising fact, which is that the source or the root of this Iyun process, which seems to be a very kind of low process, is rooted very, very high in a place called Bina Liba or Avanta de Liba. And Avanta de Liba, also known as Bina Liba, it's just different terminology, is called the inner point of the heart. And it's literally, it's the inner pleasure that is concealed in the inner point of the heart. So we weren't told too much about it, just we began to understand that this Iyun process is rooted in a very high place, in a place that's connected to Oneg, which is even higher than Ratzon, which is where Dat is rooted. We learned that previously. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is, he begins the next paragraph by saying that we need to understand this further. What is this Bina Liba? But in order for us to understand Bina Liba in a more detailed way, we first have to understand 4 levels of Chochma. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And at first, when you encounter the actual text, it looks like it's quite complicated. But we made a really nice, simple diagram just to make it much clearer. And also, what becomes apparent is that 3 of these 4 levels we already know. Okay, so I'm going to share the diagram just to, we're going to try and do it in a way that makes things easier. We also shared this on the WhatsApp group. So these are the 4 levels of Chochma, starting at the lowest level, which is the Yud of Chochma, going to the next level, which is the Alef of Chochma. The next level is PELE, and then the highest level is Chochma of Ratzon. So these first 3 levels we've actually encountered before. The first one, the Yud of Chochma, we actually know quite well. And then the Alef and the PELE were something that was described in some detail, but the name Alef and PELE was just mentioned in passing. So today we're going to really understand these in more detail. And I'm going to let Mila, I'm going to let you describe these 4 levels using, I think you said that you wanted to use the mind map. to show where we'd actually encountered these.
Yeah, our mind map, if you remember, we had
mind map, yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing, but this is just to give you a sense, a visual sense of these 4 levels. And now we're going to go into some detail. And Mila, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Okay, just wanted to set an intention. Intention is securing and expanding the borders of Eretz Israel. And we definitely expanding the borders of our cognition with this. And that's what it is. We're expanding the Eretz Israel within us, and that has the ripple effect on everything around. Okay, so I'm going to share this mind map. It's not up to date. But as Maria mentioned, we already discussed these things. So if you remember, we had this very lofty level that we were discussing, which is called Chochma skill. Yeah, and this Chochma skill is in the mashal. He gave a beautiful mashal. Anybody remembers what was that mashal about? Do you remember? He spoke about how well springs are formed. We are right here by this diagram. That we have this, aquifer, and within aquifer we also have 2 levels of aquifer, right? The more external one and the internal one. And you remember in the text, Reb Hillel mentioning that the deeper, the more intense the yigia, which is the digging process here. Okay, we are able to aquifer. So it really depends on our yigia, our effort. And so the aquifer, he corresponded to the level of PELE, right? It's a level of Tehom Rabba, which is also called Chochma skill. It's a power to conceptualize. Okay, what exactly we're going to conceptualize, we don't know yet, right? It's really going to depend on what? What do you think it depends on? Let's say I want to build a house. Okay, or let's say I want
our will, how much we want it.
Amazing. Yes, our will, right? Because if I really want to cook a cheesecake, that's going to be crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, okay? And I'm really trying it out. It doesn't work. It gets burned. I'm trying the second batch. It becomes like that. And I'm putting already the water all around and, adjusting my temperatures, and I try it and it's too dry recipes, right? So meaning, and all of a sudden, let's say I'm going to lay in my bed and I'm thinking, oh, this is like so frustrating. I have the special guests are coming and I want this cheesecake. And all of a sudden I have a discovery in quantum physics. Does that make sense to you? No, because my initial effort is not in quantum physics. So there is absolutely no way that in my idea how to bake a cheesecake, I'm going to have a discovery on quantum physics or I don't know, additions or subtractions or Chassidus, let's say. It doesn't work. Why? Because my yigia is based on one tchum, of one area of expertise. Or, there's absolutely no way that I'm going to have an insight on open heart surgery while I'm thinking how to bake a cheesecake. So it has to have a Ratzon, meaning the preceding Ratzon has to be there, right? We may not know about it, but why would a person do yigia in cheesecakes if he hates them? He doesn't want to bake a cheesecake, right? So the same thing is here. There is always preceding Ratzon into doing that particular activity, but it's not working out, or he's lacking knowledge or experience, or whatever that may be, or a piece of advice from a more experienced person. And that becomes an obsession. I need it. I'm going to work towards it. Okay, I'm gonna go online and research it and blah, 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 and try it and fail, maybe not, try again, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, here we go. I discovered, how can I do that this cheesecake is gonna come out perfect and its taka comes out perfect. That idea was originated from my koachama skill, which is right here. Okay, and the digging process that I've been investing in, and all of a sudden, ta-da-da-da, I have this flash, amazing, and so on and so forth. So now, my Gidim here, right? This Gidim, these underground rivers, the spring, okay? That's going to be the level of Alef. And that's already very concrete, meaning my Gidim are going to travel from here to here before I even realize, meaning that's going to be a subconscious thought. Okay, Alef is subconscious thought, but look at that. It's already formed into cheesecake idea. Okay, it's going to be about the cheesecake. Okay, let's say tomorrow I'm going to be thinking about how to bake pizza, or maybe I'm actually going to be working on open heart surgery. Maybe I also a surgeon. Okay, and I'm going to be thinking, so then there's going to be another Gid here from the same place, and another Gid, meaning anything that I'm going to be able to innovate and bring up is going to come from these levels, and it's going to be Gidim. Okay, now the deeper I dig, the cleaner the water would be, because some ideas are going to come from a shallow place of aquifer, which is also quite deep, but it's not as deep as the confined aquifer that has actually cleaner water and with much healing properties. So this is the level PELE of Alef, and we already done it. Okay, let's see which paragraph that was about the three brains. It actually was paragraph number 5, number 6. So we're all the way there in the beginning. And just wanted to bring you to that attention. And as you could see here, right, this is, the surface, right, without any specific pressure, only little pressure here. But here, the deeper it goes, the pressure okay, so from the deeper aquifer, the pressure comes out much deeper. Okay, so these are we already know the 2 levels of the 3 levels of Chochma, right? We have the Yud of Chochma, then he talked about Alef, and he talked about PELE. So now we actually also touched on a 4th level, which he doesn't bring in text back then, but that was our Ratzon, right? We had a desire to be invested in a particular activity, or we were forced, and the desire was to preserve life. Okay, for example, I just was reading a story about Yivsektia, that they caught one I think American or German scientist, and they held him hostage, and they were threatening to kill him, and he had to give them ideas about what type of interrogations to make in order to withdraw information from people. Okay, so I don't know if it was his desire, but he used his intellect based on preservation of self. Does that make sense? Like he had a Ratzon to preserve himself and not to die, and he was working for NKVD to give them research-based information of whatever psychology he knew at that time. Anyway, so but it still needed the Ratzon. So we're going to go into the text and see that from the text with all the diagrams that so far we were able to discover. Any questions up until this point? We good? Yeah? Okay. You see my screen? Yeah? Okay. Here we go. Okay. Lahavin betosefes biur inyan hanal. In order to understand, in addition, the explanation which we gave above. which is what? בבחינת העיון, in the aspect of עיון, איך ששורשו באובנתא דליבה. How is that its source is in Uvanta Deliba, in this level of Pnimius Nekudas Alef, in this level which is higher than Chochma. So now he's bringing the same idea, but from a different angle now. V'hina yedua sheyesh bebechinas hachochma dalet madreges. Here we know that there are 4 levels in Chochma. Alef bechinas Yud of Chochma. The first level, down up, right, is the level of Yud of Chochma, right? That's where the Chochma gets revealed. It's the flow of Chochma. Nikra Baraka Mavrik. It is called Baraka Mavrik. Obelashon Kabbalah, Nikra Partzuf Abba. And in the language of Kabbalah, it's called the face of Abba, the face of Father. Velimala Mimeno, and above it, Bechina's base, the second level, or Alef of Chochma. This is the level of Alef of Chochma, which we just described. Vahu, and it is, B'mash sheyesh lemala min Chochma, and this is what it is above the Chochma, Hanikra maskil. This is called maskil. Koach lahaskil haskolis bekolui or. Right? This is the level of maskil, of conceptualizations, to be able to conceptualize in a revealed way. And this is the key word here, golui or. Okay? Meaning that level of koach maskil, now we're going a little bit deeper. If you remember, when we were talking about the Gidim, we already see a formed idea. We already see a formed potential there. It's formed, meaning if somebody has a tendency, we already see tendencies here. Kmo gadol, kmo bagadol, like an adult. Shekoach hamaskil shelo hu muchan lahaskil haskolis chadoshes. We already see that in an adult, his koach hamaskil, it's already ready to conceptualize concepts, new concepts in brackets. Rak shechaser koach hayigia. But he is missing the yigia. Another word, his koach hamaskil is in a state of being ripe. It's ripe, it's developed. He only missing a yigia, and it's fully formed. Let me just go up. Ubaloshana Kabbalah nikra b'china zois beis mazolis. Right, and this aspect to mazolis, okay, the notzer and Nocera. I'm going to pause here with a text because I want to bring you to the diagram that we formed within 5 minutes before the class, as we felt there was a need. Okay, so now, if you remember, we had Gidim, right? The Gidim, these are the pipes. So there are actually 13 pipes like that, and I'm just going to share a different slide with you. Okay. You see this? Yeah. Do you see my screen? Yeah, it says 13 attributes of mercy.
Yeah.
Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
We
okay,
see.
great.
You could make it a bit bigger though.
Yeah, 1 second. Here we go. Is it better? Yeah, okay. So these are the 13 attributes of mercy. So now we know it very well and we say it, and these are special secrets that Moshe Rabbeinu discovered when he went up to the mountain, 40 days and 40 nights, that he heard Malachim say this. And that's how we have access to them. It's, again, because of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, this is the story. We have 13 attributes. So now each one of them is a channel for a certain degree, for a certain attribute of mercy of Hashem to trickle down to us. Now, the 8th mazal is notzer chesed, right? What is notzer chesed? That he preserves kindness, right here. Okay, this is the 8th mazal. And the 13th mazal is ונקה, and he cleanses. Now let me ask you, one of these two mazal is the one is now with Chochma. Which one of these two is Chochma and which one is Bina? The 8th is Notzer Chesed, and he preserves kindness. And the 13th one, ונקה, and he cleanses. Which one of that you think is?
The 8th is Chachma and the 13th is Bina.
Okay, support. Why?
I remember you saying, I think about Venaka, that was Bina. I don't know if it's the feminine.
It's true. Venke. Let's look over here. Venke, and he cleanses, right? Why do you think it's Bina? It's actually a correct answer. Why do you think it's Bina? Because remember what Bina does. We're going to go all the way to the first paragraph, first and second paragraph, when we were talking about Bina. Koach Bina is what? Remember the sifting process to know what is true and not true, right? So the Bina has this quality of cleaning, meaning it's going to go through every detail and see, well, does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Does it fit? It doesn't fit. We need to dig deeper here. You know, this has to be more, aligned. This is the process of Bina that we have. This makes sense. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so the Bina is koach habochen. If you remember all the way back when we were learning about the Bina, the first introduction to Bina, it was that koach habochen. It's the power to differentiate, to see what's good, what's not good. It fits, doesn't fit. What's going to happen, not going to happen. Okay, so that's why it actually fits into this, that it's ונקה, and it cleanses. Okay. Anyway, so these are the 13 attributes, and we're going to be discussing these two, number 8 and number 13. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go back to the text. Okay. Okay, so we're here. Okay, Kabbalah, and in the language of Kabbalah, this aspect, base mazoles, these are the two mazoles. Okay, ונוצר ונקה, the one that we just discussed, right? נוצר and נקה. Shem base sharoshin, that these are like two roots, hanal, that are above koach lahaskil, v'koach lahasik. That one is the power to conceptualize, and the other one is the power to grasp, which is the two lashonos of Chochma, and one is the Bina. If you remember back then, we discussed being both rooted, and he used the word rooted, in the Koach HaMaskil. This is exactly the roots. The roots are two mazoles. One is for Chochma, and one is for Bina. So we see here very tangibly how both of them are rooted. Ki or Abba yonek mi mazal haches. That it says in Kabbalah that the light of Abba, it's actually another word. In addition, is the word for that refers to Chochma. Yonek, it actually derives his yonek is yinika, is the nursing process. It's yonek, right? It's actually nurses from the mazal, the 8th mazal. Okay. Okay. Ve'aba ve'ima, right? Yonek mi mazal yud gimel ונקה.
Mila, I think that it's
right?
the
And the ima, I'm not sure what this Rashi Tevis means.
I think it's the
Or
light
of ima, okay, or ima, yeah. And the light of the mother is nurses from Mazal Yud Gimel ונקה. Okay. Okay. So that's the level of Aleph. Okay. So we just described about the Yud of Chochma, and then the level of Aleph. Now we're going into the third level. And above it is the third level. PELE. This is the aspect of PELE. Shuhu etzem koach hamaskil, which is the essence of the koach hamaskil. Okay? Shebilti efshari lo lavo lidei gilui. Klal. It is yet impossible for him to come into any revelation at all. Mo bekatan, like the little one, like a child. She'ein sichlo mukhan lavo lidei gilui. That is revelation. But nevertheless, yesh bo behelem koach hamaskil. He has, in a hidden way, his koach hamaskil. Okay, but ayah, and how do we know this? What's the proof of it? Butzin bikat fi. As the expression goes in Gemara, butzin. These are the little pumpkins. Okay, when they see like little pumpkins, by looking at little pumpkins, they're able to see how they're going to be when they're going to grow. Meaning, you have to be also a mumche in it, right? You have to be a gardener to see, this little thing and say, oh, actually, this one has a potential to become this big pumpkin or sweet pumpkin or whatever the story may be. Like, I'm not a gardener, so that's why, I can't really tell you what are the qualifications to see. However, we do know that the specialists in these fields are able to see at something premature yet and kind of guess based on the experience, oh, this is going to be like that. And you know what? It actually happens. So that's the level of expertise we're talking about. Okay, B'lashon Kabbalah, and in the Lashon of Kabbalah, Nikra B'china Zois Chochma Stima, right? It's called a hidden Chochma. Okay. So now we have, this koach hamaskil, and then etzem koach hamaskil, and that's, chochma stima. It's a hidden chochma. That's why it's actually called hidden. Okay, that it's not revealed. By the way, in general, everywhere where you see the word etzem, it's always in a state of hidden. The essence is always hidden, not because there is something that actually prevents from being revealed. But usually this is not revealed because there's no PELE for it to be revealed. So even when we're talking about the essence of the intellect, is the same story. But however, when the child matures and his intellect ripens, it actually has the potential becomes into actual and just missing the yigia part that we spoke on the level of Alef. And above it is the fourth level, Shehu Bechinas Chochma, which is the Chachma, Sheba'atzmius HaRatzon, that in the essence of the Ratzon. Kihina Yidua Inyan HaRatzon Hu Mirutzat Hamshachat HaNefesh. Right, we know, what is Ratzon? Ratzon is the same letters as Ratz. Ratz meaning running. Okay, the Ratzon is the running and the drawing down the manifestations of the soul. In order to enclose in Eser Koiches, right? There is this desire. When a person has desire, you're running towards it, right? Nobody says, I have such a desire, I better run away, right? That's usually a desire of preservation of self, right? But here, when we actually want something, we are drawn to it. Right? And that's in Hebrew. Interestingly, it's actually the same shorish. Okay, so when a person has a desire to something, if you remember, we learned about that as well. Remember, there was a guy who had a desire to do chesed in his essence. When we were talking about the level of chushim, right? And because he has such a desire, he's eser koiches, he's 10 powers of the soul, from Chochma all the way till Malchus, are going to be in a way enslaved to bring that Ratzon into to fruition, right? If my essence of my soul is to do chesed, I'm going to be finding all the possibilities. My chochma is going to work. My hachama skill is going to generate ideas. My chochma is going to work very hard. My bina is going to figure out that the feasibility is going to work, it's not going to work, etc., etc. And I'm going to make decisions that for sure we're going to do this project. And I'm going to be actually excited about it. And all what I'm going to be thinking about is how to make chesed. I'm going to open philanthropic activities about giving out shoes, food, I don't know, whatever that may be, any expression of chesed, because whatever the need is, if a child doesn't have a coat, I'll buy him a coat. If somebody doesn't have money for whatever, I'm going to give them money, right? Meaning my brain is going to be enslaved to work for that. And that's what it is. Now, the Ratzon is the idea, and it's beginning to enclose in the Eser Koiches. Okay, v'lachein, kol Eser, all 10 of them, of the Koiches, hem gnuzes baratzon, right? They're actually hidden in the Ratzon. All the 10 Koiches are hidden in the Ratzon. And from there, they're popping one by one. And we find that this aspect of the Chochma, which is hidden in Atzmius HaRatzon, in the essence of the Ratzon, that Chochma that is actually enclosed in the essence of the Ratzon, that's what becomes mirutzes, is like causing it to run of the soul to manifest and to enclose in the koach hamaskil. Okay? Exactly as we said. Why in the world I'm going to be thinking about cheesecake if I don't have desire to bake a cheesecake? Right? That's exactly what it is. There's no desire. Why would somebody even, want to do something? And this is the ikar, the main ikar, and the essence. And the maus is another word for essence. Mahu, what is this? Right? Of the seichel. Can you believe this is the 4 levels? And that's where the seichel actually lays, right? The intellect lays, the top layer of the seichel is the chochma of the Ratzon. And in Kabbalah, it is written that it's in the lashon of Chochma, that's in the Partzuf of the Golgoltha. Okay? Whew. This is on one breath. The whole paragraph contains quite an intense a paragraph, but it actually, takes us on all these 4 levels, right? So then we know it's the body of Chochma, the Yud of Chochma. Okay, then we go into the level of Alef, when our intellect is ripe, and all what we're missing is a Yigia. But now, when we're talking about a 2-year-old, I cannot make him learn Chassidus, right? And conceptualize. This guy is hardly talking. However, by looking at the child, you could actually see the potential that he has, but it's not yet ripe. So that's when the essence of koach hamaskil, the level of PELE, is, okay? And then we have the chachma of the Ratzon. This is the 4th level. Okay, so let me just share a slide where that looks very similar to what we did. To what we did, this one, okay? Right here, let me just present. Right here, this is the 4 levels of, I'm sorry. Okay, these are the 4 levels of Chochma, and the Kabbalistic terms. Now, as we said, the Yud of Chochma is right here, right? The Yud of Chochma is Partzuf Abba, right? The face of Abba. Now, Alef of Chochma is the two pipes, right? The 8th and the 13th, Nוצר and ונקה. Okay, then we have PELE right here. And this is Chochma Stima. This is the hidden Chochma. And then we have Chochma of the Ratzon. This is Chachma שבפרצוף הגולגלתא, is right here. That's it. So these are the 4 levels. Now, remember why he went into these 4 levels of Chochma is to prove us how Bina is rooted above Chochma. Remember that? That we discussed last week. So last week was how Bina is rooted in this lofty level, which is called Bina Liba, Pnimis Nekudas Alev, Oneg, and all these beautiful things. And yet he's proving here a very important point, that the Chochma right here, this Yud of Chochma, maximum where it reaches, it's rooted in the Chochma of the Ratzon. That's it. Finished. Okay? This is the highest level of the intellect. And we're talking about on such a hidden level, right? It's like, you know, Chochma of the Ratzon is a very, very lofty level. This is where the desire generates. And then it's the level of the Yigia. And then when the Yigia is done, boom, we have Chochma, Baraka Mavrik, right? And that's already, you know, revealed. Okay. Any questions? Let's have a little discussion here.
Can I go
I see
through
there's
it
one
in
question.
the English just to clarify?
Yes, sure.
Just to make it a little bit clearer for those of us who are English speakers. Okay, I'm really just going through the text, but in English. So here we are, there are 4 levels in Chochma. The first level is Yud of Chochma. This is the flow of Chochma called lightning flash, Barak HaMavrik. That's where the Chochma, the idea is revealed in the Chochma. And it's known in Kabbalah as Partzuf Abba, face of the Father. So we know that's something, the Yud of Chochma is something we're familiar with. It's that place where an idea flashes in, like you go like, wow, what was that? And that's the flash of insight. The next level is called the Alef of Chochma. This is higher than the actual Chochma, and it's called Maskil, which has the power to conceptualize intellect in a revealed way, in the revealed illumination. So he doesn't say it here, but this corresponds to the Gidim, the veins that we talked about in the Mashal. So here he gives an example. The koach maskil of an adult is ready to conceptualize new ideas. All that is lacking is Yigia's effort. So here we're talking about a level of koach maskil. I know for myself, I always think of the Aleph as meaning that it's a single idea, like Aleph as being one, that's coming out of this, the PELE, which is the Tehom, which is the endless possibility, and the focus, the Yigia, brings out one idea. So for me, that's the Alef of Chochma. So here now, with each of these levels, he tells us what it is in Kabbalah. So in Kabbalah, this Alef of Chochma is known in Kabbalah as the Mazalot of Noczer and Venakeh. These are the 2 roots of the power of conceptualization, which is Chochma, and the power of grasping, which is Bina, mentioned previously. So previously we learned that there are 2 roots in the Koach HaMaskil that go to Chochma and Bina simultaneously. The light of Abba suckles from the 8th mazal, Notzer, and the light of Ima suckles from the 13th mazal, ונקה. So Abba is Chochma and Ima is Bina. So Abba gets its nurture from the 8th mazal, and Bina gets its nurture from the 13th mazal, which is ונקה. So then we go to the level of PELE, and it's interesting to notice that Alef and PELE are the same letters, just reversed. Alef Lamed Pe, Pe Lamed Alef. So the PELE is actually like the Tehom. PELE is the essence of the Chochma skill. It's impossible for the level of PELE to be revealed. For example, like a child whose intellect is not ready to be revealed, even though they have the power to conceptualize, even though they have the Chochma skill, but in a concealed way. And the proof is brought from the Talmud. Pumpkins are recognizable even when they first bud. Which, as Mila was saying, if you're a gardener, you can, when you see the first buds, you see the fruit forming in the bud. And I never grew pumpkins, but a lot of other things, I imagine it's similar. You can actually see the formation of the fruit, even though it's very, very small. And the idea is that when a child is small, you can see their potential. You can see what they're going to grow up to, even though it's not revealed, because their Chochma skill is still concealed, but you see the potential. So PELE is known in Kabbalah as Chochma Stima, which is the hidden Chochma. Then finally we come to the Chochma of Ratzon. So the 10 soul powers are concealed, ganuz, in the Ratzon. An aspect of Chochma that is concealed in Ratzon is the pull and the flow of the soul desiring to be enclosed in the Chochma skill. And this is the main essence of the Seichel. It's known in Kabbalah as Chochma in the Partzuf of Golgaltha. The Golgaltha is the skull, which we know that is where the Ratzon is. So it's the aspect of Chochma that is inside of Ratzon. Okay. Hopefully that made it a little bit clearer, but basically this is what he's doing is that he's zooming in on this place where there's this transition from Chochma skill to Chochma. And we've been in this place before, but now he's giving us more details. So the more that we remember from before, the easier it is to add some details. Previously we learned about the Tehom, as Mila was just showing us with that picture, where the Chochma skill, the essence of the Chochma skill is a Tehom. It's like an endless place of potential to conceptualize. And then we focus through our Yigia to bring out one idea from this endless potential. So that's the PELE becoming an Alef, endless potential becoming one focused idea. And then that flashes into the Chochma, into like a Baraka Maverick, like a concept, you see it, and it flashes into the brain. And prior to all of that is the desire. That's what initiates this whole process, is the desire to know, to understand, and that's where the Chochma in the Ratzon moves towards the Chochma skill, PELE, the Alef, the Yud. Okay. Questions? Insights? Confusions?
Yeah, in a state of hafla, that's what it is. as we're learning Chachma. That's exactly what we're feeling. It's like, and you lose sense of self. This is the
No, there is some clarification going on. Yeah. Yeah. But before you said Ratzon of Chochma, and sometimes you said the Chochma, I don't know, in the English, Chochma of Ratzon. I think I saw the two terms. Well, anyway, it should be the same thing.
yeah. I think Kati, you're mentioning because we're saying Chachma of the Ratzon, or the Chachma hidden in Ratzon, Gnuza b'Ratzon, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is actually difference between them, but we're not going to go into this because we're trying to provide as much clarity as possible based on the I'll tell you what it is. It's like every time Hillel gives us something, he's expanding just a bit, and then he goes a little bit deeper into our brain, and then with another idea, just a bit, and then goes deeper. Sometimes I notice that when we give too much information, too much details, it flies right out, because
Agree.
like with everything, our brain has its protective properties, so yeah.
I didn't get that. What did you say? The brain has what?
The brain has protective properties.
Oh,
Protective properties. Yeah. It's protected sanity, and that's a mission. So therefore, when something gets like so lofty and like whoa, and then at that moment the brain just shuts down and says, okay, out. It's too much. It's breaking too many paradigms that I know. So let's go to safety. Yeah, let's run to safety. Okay. So Rabbi Hillel is a master teacher, and he brings one idea at a time. And I think that he presents in this. Yeah. So we're just going to call it, the Chochma, which is hidden in the Ratzon for the sake of this. But there are differences, how in the Ratzon they are hidden. But we're talking about much later chapters, chapter 37, 38. We have time to get. By that time, it'll be easier for us to understand these things.
So Mila, I have a question. Why, given that you have a broader perspective, why does he bring the Kabbalistic names here? And how important is it for us at this point to really know them, to remember them?
No, because I'll tell you what it is. There's no need for that to know it. It's just when we learn in Chassidus, very often in other Mamarim, you'll see references to these ideas. The works of Arizal, and all these masters. And in general, I've never seen a mimer without a reference to a place in Kabbalah, Zohar, or something like that. It is to be found. I never came across. So there's always the use of Kabbalistic terms. So he's preparing the ground. He wants us to become familiar with them. He wants us to know. So let's say when we see Partzuf Abba, oh, I know what that is. It's like a code word in a way. Like, oh, when we say like, I don't know, or Abba, or Ima. Oh, I know actually what that is. These are the two mazales. When we're talking about, I don't know, Golgoltha, we know what that is. We know that it's Ratzon. Why is it important? Is higher than Kabbalah. Chassidus is sod shebesod, but however, it's a stepping stone for its revelation. So therefore, we see a lot of Kabbalistic terms that early Kabbalistic masters they were using this language to express ideas. So when Chassidus explains those ideas and using it as a stepping stone to bring higher light. So yeah.
It allows us to compartment, to say, oh, this is there. It's not new. It's another aspect. And this is, yeah. I understand that the use of saying the name, it's not adding, it's helping.
Right. It's like a cross-reference. It's actually very useful, the way you describe it. It's not just like, oh, another thing that I have to remember, but it's actually a cross-reference.
The word I had is triage. Kind of. Yeah.
Just trying to think. What also, he doesn't go into a lot of detail about Notzer, Chesed, Venake. He just states it. Do we need to really understand that? Or just to know
I think we need to just believe the process. This is what, for me, he's bringing this idea at this level. Let's just take it in. Because you know what? We don't know it anyway. We don't know it anyway. So, okay, so this is one more level that we don't know. There's another level that we don't know. But eventually, when we gain a certain knowledge and perspective and we bring these ideas into our brain, things that make sense. Because remember, he promised us, now he didn't promise us, he made a statement that both of them are rooted in Koachama skill. And sometimes we're like, what is this? And he uses the word or, right? If we notice, it's or Abba and or Ima. The light of Abba and the light of Ima. Now, what's the difference between the actual Chochma and the light of Chochma? Okay, we could see like it's a light of Chochma yet hidden, and it hits as Baraka Mavrik, gets revealed in Baraka Mavrik. Now, but it's already revealed in a Keli, because there's actual space in the brain that designated for the revelations of Chochma. And there's also that, space, in our left brain that reveals the or Ima, the light of Ima. But he's making a point. It's already the third time in a text where he brings proof. Now he's bringing proof, because before he said, they are rooted and we had to take it on Emunah level. Now he says, no, here, that's how they rooted. These two mazalis are going through this space of in Koachama skill. That's what it is, and we just needed to accept that. Also, maybe St. Shows of the Rebbe gives us 3 explanations of the Alef in the world Geula. Is the Alef of Chochma, of Bina. It's actually, it's interesting that gets you bringing it out. I was thinking about it, because it says, I will teach you Chochma, I will teach you Bina, but it all uses the word Alef, Alfecha Chochma, Alfecha Bina. And they both originate in the level of Alef.
Mila, I think that if people, don't have questions, that we should go into breakout groups and do the workshop. I mean, the worksheet.
Worksheet. Yeah, let's do it. The worksheet, Naria. Yeah, so the worksheets, Naria shared the link on our WhatsApp group. So the best would be if you could just, kind of go there, press the link. It will open up on your phone or on your computer, wherever you have access to WhatsApp. And we'll do a breakout rooms. And that would be the best way if you could discuss it and, see their references there Naria put out.
So the idea of the worksheet is that 3 of these levels we've learned about before. So what I've done is given you references in the Hebrew and the English text to go back and have a look and do a review to see where you see the Yud, the Alef, the PELE, and recognize it. And then perhaps you'll come back, with either with more clarity or with more questions. So, yeah, the worksheet is shared on the WhatsApp group. Do we need to share it here in the?
Let's share it to the chat so they could actually press it before they're going to go to breakout rooms. Might be.
I think it's this.
Okay, good. So yeah, if you could
Yeah.
take a look at your chat, you'll see a link there to the Google Drive. Yeah, please
Yeah.
press it so you have that available. And
Okay. So we'll give you a little bit more time than just 10 minutes, because it should take a little bit longer to really go back and have a look.
Are you sure it's page 300 in English? I'm looking at Kuf Nun Hey, and the next page is 310.
In Hebrew, it's 300.
Really? So, but after, aren't you on Kuf Nun Hey? I think. Maybe I'm totally somewhere else.
Yeah, but this is
Well,
looking back. We're going back
going
to
back.
back to the first place that it was mentioned. We're not looking at this paragraph. The idea is really to see how we already know this information.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, good.
You can also look in the current paragraph with pleasure, but here the idea is also to go back and see, oh, okay, I remember, or I don't remember that we learned this.
Right, it's much easier to go backwards. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
okay, great. So we're opening all rooms. Yeah. So I don't know how those are joining on the phone, but I think you should have on your screens invitation to your room.
My compliments to the worksheet. It really makes us work. Ishmo Ken, who makes us work. A worksheet makes us work.
I hope you all see the smoke that's coming out of every breakout room.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's the vapors of the Tehom.
Wow, wow, wow. Excellent.
Hashem. It's so interesting. We had a whole discussion in the beginning of whether we should do worksheets, and I'm like, yeah, I'm teaching, elementary. We're gonna do, and then it's like, no, it's too elementary, too baby. And then, Baruch Hashem, it's working out. We had a whole debate.
Never
whether
too elementary.
1 second, babyish, you said.
No, it's like it's the process. The process.
If this is
What do you mean,
babyish,
baby? Baby's not the concept. It's like the
if
process.
this is babyish, we weren't born yet. We weren't even conceived yet.
No, what I mean by
way
baby
to
is the process. It's like,
something
you
even.
can't have pets and stuff like that. It's like and but it's interestingly that you guys are liking it, that we're going to create more. I don't know if it's a good
So
how many felt competent in doing this worksheet? I'm wondering.
What is competent, please?
Competent means that when you were answering the question, you felt that you actually correctly answered.
Okay.
Well, listen, in Bloom's taxonomy, there's levels, remember? We were still working on a level of knowledge. Knowledge is something that you take your finger and you could point in the text.
So should we go through the worksheet? Do you want to do that and see what people came up with? It was that difficult?
Well, obviously, if you present a worksheet and put us to work on it, it needs to be followed by review.
Okay. Oh. Things are not always so obvious to me. All right, let's share. I'll share my screen. Okay. So let's start with the Yud of Chochma. So I previously in paragraph 5, where PELE mentions the Yud of Chochma, look it up there and describe the Yud of Chochma. So what did you come up with there? Or elsewhere? What did you understand about the Yud of Chochma?
I just went to the text and read what was there. I didn't try to go deeper in my understanding. I just wrote what I found. The Yud
So
of
what did you
Chochma is the body or Patzuf in terms of Kabbalistic, in Kabbalah, and it's a flash. That's what I came up with. Is the
Chochma?
flash. Okay.
We wrote Barak HaMavrik HaNigle, which means a flash that is already revealed.
Okay, good.
Why already? Why already revealed? Why already? That is
Because
being
if
revealed.
today, yeah, that is revealed, right? Because
Yeah.
before that we said about PELE and Alef and higher levels, but this already, the Yud of Chochma, it's already Barak HaMavrik HaNigle. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I also just copied his words.
No, why not?
But the question is, does it make sense to you? Do you understand where this is in Chochma and the experience of it? Like when you have a flash of insight.
So
Yeah, but I don't understand the Parzuf. I don't understand why do you call it the body of it says body, the body of the
Of the
of
Yud.
Chochma. Yeah.
So
Is that
that there were different places in where it was described. So the Yud of Chochma, I don't know if you remember, we did a picture of the Yud of Chochma.
yeah, sure.
Where the kutz on the top of the Yud was the oimek of Chochma, the body of the Yud was the rochav, and the part that comes down was the orech. So the whole image of the Yud became a representation of those three levels of Chochma. Whereas in other places, he refers to the Yud of Chochma as the place of the revelation of Chochma, which is mainly the Rochav of Chochma. That's the place where you have the Barak HaMavrik, is in the Rochav of Chochma, which is the main aspect of Chochma. So that's the experience, that's the first place where the idea or the concept becomes revealed to the person. It's revealed in the right brain, in the Chochma brain. That's the Yud of Chochma.
Why is it called Partzuf?
So, these are Kabbalistic terms. Partzuf Abba, I don't know that much about Chochma, about Kabbalah, but I think that Partzuf means that it's the full face, meaning that when you talk about a Partzuf, Mila, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that much, but the Partzuf means Chochma with all of the 10 sfirot in it. It's
right, that's what, it has everything, exactly.
Right.
The whole configuration is in it.
Right, so that's called Partzuf Abba. And usually it refers to Chochma Vatzilut, from what I know. But here he's talking, as Mila said, it's for reference, really, that whenever you see Partzuf Abba, you know that you talk about Chochma. But it's really a very high level of high manifestation of Chochma.
So what stood out for me was it's that flash of insight, but the ability to receive from Chochma. So you can have that flash, but if you're not receiving it, then nothing's going to come down.
Right, it does have that quality of a flash of lightning, which shows you, it lights up the darkness, but then it doesn't last very long.
Like
So
what
you
do you do with it? There's that flash, that insight, or whatever it is, and where does it go?
It allows you to see. It allows you to see like a flash of light.
So that's when,
Good.
you have to bring it down into Bina, so that it can have kiyum, that it can manifest. You have to grasp onto it.
Can I add something? Hey, to me, you're asking Pratsof. To me, that sounds, the way I'm visualizing is like you see a person. There's that initial connection, but you're not seeing the whole person. You don't know. You haven't had any connection yet. So it's just like that flash, the scene. That's how I'm visualizing it. So like even Pratsof Chachma, Pratsof, I mean, like the male, the female, like the initial. That's like.
Look, it's very much a Kabbalistic term, and we're not going into it, but yeah.
No, to visualize it I guess for me to.
Look, if you can see everything, you see the person on their face. We also know that we spoke about the 7 holes in the skull, which are their 7 emotions. So within the face, you have all of the sphirot. You have the brain, the chochma, the bina. You have chesed, gevurah, tiferet, netzach, hod, yesod, and malchut, all on the face. So that's, from what I understand, that's what a partzuf is, meaning that it's all of the 10 sphirot in Abba, which is chochma. So it's not just. Yeah, it's the complete part of it, but yeah.
It's not just the part, really the all.
I like what Panina said about meeting a person for the first time and having this connection, like an intuitive aspect of the person.
First impression type of thing.
Yeah, the first impression, which is supposed to be, I don't know what to do with that first impression, but is that first impression.
And I like what Koti said before about the flash. If you don't see it, and you have to be, it's talking about also the receiving of it. That's where it comes negaya, that it's a flash. It reminds me of if a tree fell in the forest, and no one's here to hear it, did it make a noise? And not necessarily. It's all of creation, all of whatever unfolds is for a conscious observer that receives it. So all this learning, it's making me realize that all this learning, awareness that these things are happening, that there is a Barak HaMavrik, and dealing with it, we become recipients.
Right. Because it is for the makabel to receive. Everything, what Hashem does, is for the makabel to receive. The whole process.
Okay, so let's go on. The Alef of Chochma. So I sent you to where PELE described the mashal of the spring, the Mayan of Chochma. So look, both of those were I'm not going to do the advanced question, but here there's the Alef of Chochma and the PELE of Chochma. It was the same reference because they both part of that same process. So what did you understand was the Alef of Chochma, and what did you understand was the PELE of Chochma?
It's about the 2 springs, the 2 levels of conceptualizing. There is 2 levels. There is the revealed, like the spring that is already out, and then there is what is inside still. The spiritual source of intellect.
Okay, good. So the part that is revealed, the revealed spring, is actually the Yud of Chochma. That's what's revealed above the ground. Now, Alef and PELE are two levels of the hidden spring. So I wanted to see if, what did you understand from that? What is Alef and what is PELE in terms of the two levels of what is concealed in Chochma skill?
No, I didn't go there.
Actually, when we look at the page 300, it doesn't differentiate between Aleph and PELE. It just says that it was Shefa that was included in Chochma skill, and PELE and Aleph are included over there, but it doesn't tell us what is what. I at least didn't understand it.
It's exactly true, because, and now you see how he was giving us general information, and now I was hoping that you could take what we learned today and superimpose it on that general information and be able to differentiate.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that was
Okay.
asking too much.
Okay, so it's beyond the the knowledge level.
In a way. So he said correctly, Sarah, you're correct. He said that when this information is included in the Chochma skill, it's called Alef and PELE. But now, knowing what we know, that there's two levels of how this works. What do you understand is the Alef and what is the PELE? When you can break down, even though he doesn't tell you exactly, what is the Alef in terms of, yeah, Miriam.
Sorry, I'm just throwing this out, but the wondrousness could be the revelation of the spring. As it emerges from underground. In our understanding, it's something. It's higher than the Aleph, but yet it is a sort of like lower in a way. It's quite hard to describe in that it's revealed. I don't know. I'm just throwing out something.
So actually, we learned in the paragraph that we learned today that the PELE specifically cannot come into revelation. The PELE is the most hidden aspect.
Okay. Thank you.
So anybody else, before we do the reveal? No?
1 second. Let's repeat the question.
Okay. So in the mashal of the Mayan of the Chochma, we spoke about what were the two aspects of the hidden Chochma. The revelation was when the spring comes to the surface. And that's really the Yud of Chochma. That's when it's revealed. That's the Baraka Mavrik, to use another mashal. Now, what are the two stages before that are actually hidden? One is Aleph and one is PELE. The truth is, Mila told it to you, but I guess it wasn't so clear, and that's why we
Bina?
No.
Is it the Bina like the...
Mila had it on her chart today. I just don't have, but I know that 4 level. I think you wrote it in parentheses there.
Right.
And I'm like trying to remember. I wish I had that. I have to imprint that in my mind, but I know it was there.
Yeah, we share the diagram on a group. You could look it up in parentheses on the bottom.
Are you talking about the Nocera, the Nocera and the Nocera?
No.
I
Okay,
think
I think we're going to have to do this as a clarity. So what you have here, what you have now, at least maybe because you have the question, is
I found it. One is the Tehom Rabba and one is the Gidim.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. Which one is which?
Oh, yeah.
The Tehom Rabba is the PELE.
Well, the PELE is the Tehom Rabba.
Right.
It's even deeper, but from the Chochma, if you'd go from the Yud of Chochma, you're first going to get to the Gidim, and then from the Gidim, which the Gidim is the Alef of Chochma, you're going to get to the PELE, which is the Tehom Rabba.
Okay. So now
Which is Ovi Kadur Haaretz, maybe. Ovi Kadur Haaretz, it says there, like all.
Exactly.
Like
the Avi
first-
Kadur Haaretz, Avi Kadur Haaretz, the Gidim go through it.
Yeah, where it's starting, where they're originating from Ovi Kadur Haaretz.
Exactly. Yes.
So the Tehom is the PELE.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we were looking at two levels of digging, that the deeper you go and through your Gia, you get deeper and more clear.
Right.
So
We did it.
what are those
that
two
chart.
levels?
We had to go to that chart that you shared, right? Then it would be easier.
So the Gidim is important, these underground pipes, remember? So it's if you envision these underground pipes to be the two mazales, right?
Oh.
So
Oh,
can
so
I
that's
It's
ask
like
how could
envision like
we-
it's like a straw. You're drinking from two straws. Isn't it? It's fun. My kids love to drink two straws. It fills the mouth faster.
that's funny.
So is it that the Aleph being one is more differentiated than the PELE, and it's able to come up through the pipes?
Exactly. So Aleph is the actual pipes coming up, but it's under the surface of the earth. However, we could still sense and feel it. All what is needed to access Aleph is the digging process. But the PELE is more hidden. That requires ripening.
Ah, that's why he brings the example of a child.
Yeah. This is child versus adult.
Right.
Okay, but in the deepening, in the digging, where is the PELE?
PELE is we probably could access. For example, let's say a person has a tendency, a musical ear, let's say. You see, he has a musical ear, he has a talent there. But what he needs to do, he just needs to choose an instrument and practice, and that's going to surface. And all of a sudden, oh, wow, he knows how to play one song, the second song, blah, 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 and all that. Let's say a person doesn't have a talent to music. Many of us, right? You go to the Farbrengen and people start singing, you want to close your ears, right? You're like, oh, please don't sing. Okay. Now, what do you do? Does it like that's it? It's doomed. There's no talent. If there's a Ratzon, there's a Ratzon there. He could tap into his deeper parts of Koach skill, which is Tehom, which is PELE, and it's a wonder. That's why people say, oh, wow, I wonder. 5 years ago, I heard you singing at the Farbrengen. I wanted to close my ears. And look at you now. You became #1 violin in the world. Wouldn't that be a PELE? Right?
So let me ask you the question. So if I understood correctly, so we say PELE, it can't come to revelation. It's just like a child that his koach skill or whatever it is needs havshala, needs ripening. But through Ratzon, it could become ripened?
Yeah. That's why he brings the 4th level of Ratzon.
Okay.
The 4th level is a desire. Again, to a certain extent, we cannot make a 2-year-old become a whole situation, you understand?
Right.
That be
A
the
2-year-old is going to be 12. Okay, we're talking already about something. There is it takes time. It will take time. But let's say, he's not going to write a speech, a 2-year-old, right? There's no shaykhs. Nobody has any, doubts about it. But when we're talking about an 18-year-old writing a speech with the help and, tutoring and all that, yeah, he could write a speech. The tool, I mean, the tools are there. The mental tools are there for him to process information. But at the same time, here we go. Can we access PELE? Absolutely. How can we access PELE? Through the level which is higher than a PELE, is a Ratzon.
Wow.
When we activate our Ratzon, we could activate our PELE, and obviously that's going to trickle down into formation of the proper Gidim, which is going to be the Alef and the revelation. Yeah, but again, it will take time. It's a process. It's not like, oh, I have a Ratzon, a 2-year-old has a Ratzon, and boom, you wrote a speech, for Congress. No, it's not going to happen. It's a process.
Oh.
However,
I can share a
Oh.
beautiful story if I may.
Sure.
This person, he was a child, I don't know, maybe 15, maybe 16, and he was learning, and everything was kind of new to him because he came from a different environment. So a relative of his wrote to the Rebbe a question that this child asked about a certain Gemara. And the Rebbe's answer was, butzin butzin mikatfei yediah, about this child. A true story. Absolutely. I know who the person is. And butzin butzin mikatfei yediah. And today this person, butzin butzin. Yeah, this is what we just now read, that pumpkin, when it's very small, you already know its nature. And today, many years later, he's a shliach of the Rebbe to one of the countries. Yeah.
Can I give you another example? The Rambam.
Yeah.
He was so learning disabled.
This was not about a learning disability. It was a question of a child, but the Rebbe signed to it, whatever. Sorry for interrupting.
Right, okay, it's not another, I used the wrong word. I'm just saying where you could access something that you think it's not accessible, and it can become accessible.
Beautiful example, and he used this koach haratzon. He had a desire. Yeah. So the desire could surpass the disability and create the proper Gidim.
Rabbi Akiva.
Can I ask a question? In the 4 levels, we have 2 parallel columns. One is the Kabbalah and one is the more simple Hebrew. So in the Alef of Chochma, corresponding to it in the Kabbalistic term is the 2 mazolos of Notzer, Chesed, and Venake, which bring in Chochma and Bina. But in the Hebrew term, you only see a reference to Chochma.
Right, because the Bina comes down in a hidden way. So if I'll explain you. Let me, Naria, would you allow me to share? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My teacher once gave me a nice, just one second, a nice a diagram, which maybe. See, okay. I'm going to share the whiteboard. Yeah. Okay. So if we could just envision 2 mazalis like this, right? 2 pipes. Yeah. The Chochma is going to get revealed here. And the Bina is going to get revealed here. Because practically speaking, Bina in its revelation is lower. Okay, so it's going through this Gidim, right? And this is the Tehom where it originates, right? And these are the pipes that are coming out. One gets revealed in Chochma, and a little bit later gets revealed in Bina. It's like the thunder and lightning. When I see the light together, I know that it's going to come. And sometimes a while, right? Passes, few seconds, and then we hear the thunder. So that's why it is part of Chochma, because the Bina gets revealed through Chochma. But for some reason, he keeps this 2 mazolis separately, that in its shayresh, they originate. But the way it comes down, first Chochma gets revealed, then Bina gets revealed. That's why it's part of Chochma.
Right, so funny, they both have a shayresh, each one have a shayresh, and yet they cannot work independently. In
They
other words,
can't. The
cannot
Chochma and
work
Bina,
independently.
yeah, the expression of Chochma and Bina, they are two friends that never separate. That's it. They can never be separated. Chochma cannot be.
Is Bina sourced higher or the same?
Yeah, it's sourced higher. Exactly. That's where we're going to. Because you already explained it last week. Yeah. Remember that Bina is rooted in Bina Liba.
And the diagram I use just doesn't seem that way. That's why I'm asking.
Right. No, because it says over here, because the diagram at this point, he says that, they are both originate in Koach HaMaskil, in this pool. Right. But then Chochma actually originates in Ratzon. Right.
Bina?
Chochma originates in Ratzon. Let me just change the colors here.
Bina,
And then there's also oneg. Oneg is pleasure, right? The Keser has, two aspects. I'm sorry for my drawing ability.
So Bina originates in Keser, in Eineg.
Exactly, right. So the Chochma originates in Ratzon.
Interesting.
And tomorrow's class is going to show how Bina originates in Oneg.
How can we understand from the name, you explained that Nakeh references Bina because you clarify and you separate, etc. How can we understand from Notzer Chesed that it's connected to Chochma?
Because Notzer Chesed, remember, Chochma is the right lane, the Chesed lane. Okay, Bina takes things apart, puts it together. That's more Gvura.
So
these are the two.
In the footnote in the English translation, he takes the word notzer and he shows that it's, if you turn the word
Ratzon.
get Ratzon. The truth is, I looked up in the Chumash, and notzer is in Chumash is spelled without a vav, but still the roots are very similar. So you see within that yeah. See, Sarah, it's really a pleasure when you have the Hebrew. I didn't even have to say it. You immediately saw Notzer and Ratzon. It speaks to you. But yeah. But the right line, Chochma is the right brain, and the right side, when you go down, is Chesed. And
Venaka and Nekeva seems similar. Just a thought.
No. Yeah. And Bina is the feminine. Bina and Malchut are the two feminine sphirot. So
maybe the base that's missing is the Bina. And I noted that also in Nake was just missing the base.
Really interesting.
So again, Notzer is keeping it together. I missed this part for a minute. Notzer
is the roots, how Chochma is rooted in the Koach HaMaskil.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, then are very beginning.
Right. All right. I think that that should be enough for our minds for today. And B'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll continue to explore how the concept of Bina Liba, so that we'll see how Bina is rooted higher than Chochma. So I hope that that things were clarified today. Go back and look at the the drawings and the images that we made and so forth. And B'ezrat Hashem, it should be more and more clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very